Shannon, break it down. What is going on here?
Well, I don't think anybody should be surprised at the level that an NFL or a sports organization would go through to try to get a discount. Now, Odell visited two other organizations. He visited the Buffalo Bills, he visited the New York Giants, and nothing about his medicals ever came out. His medicals only came public, or what the knee wasn't where it should be or how they think it should be, only after he met with the Cowboys. Ed Werder is as plugged into the Cowboys as anybody in the history or anybody's plugged in with any other franchise. Ed Werder's plugged in.
I'm not sure I can go that far, but he is very plugged in. Yes.
So this ain't just come out of the blue. He ain't just throwing this out there against the wall.
Agreed.
So if I'm Odell, I'm extremely upset.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking at some actions. Maybe I might need to sue because this thing get out of any other place. Now, I'm sure the Giants medical team looked at that knee. I'm sure the Buffalo Bills medical team looked at that knee. But only after this. Now, Skip, Jerry, if you listen, Jerry kept dropping breadcrumbs along the way that he wasn't as all in on Odell as maybe Micah Parsons and Diggs and Dak and Zeke and some of the others, or as maybe as much as Cowboy Country was.
I will buy that.
Because he kept saying, yeah, that's a great player. We understand what he represents on the field.
Yeah.
But why is he available? He kept saying, why is he available? You have to ask yourself those questions. But come on, you don't have to do this, Cowboys. If you believe that you have the team that can go and compete for a title without Odell, why would you need to drop this breadcrumb?
Yep.
I look at it as being tacky. If I'm, obviously you're gonna have to weigh that down. Can I trust him? But Skip, this coincides with my timeline. You remember we've been talking about this, and you say, well, why don't somebody else like Skip? I mean, if you look at the tea leaves, and it's like, okay, if he comes back and he's like a fast healer, I'm talking about, got the hand of God, just touched him.
Yep.
Skip, you're still looking at late December, early January. Kind of coincides with what the Cowboys believe that he's not going to be able to help us until 2023.
Yep.
Skip, this is just a bad look for the Cowboys. I hope everything works out for Odell. I hope, I think Ian Rappaport tweeted this morning, like after the whirlwind visit, he's headed home to Arizona. I didn't know he had a home in Arizona, but hey, maybe he's going there. Maybe he wants to get away from everything, sit down with his family, his mom, his dad, his girlfriend, whomever close advisors, and says, okay, what do you think? Knowing what we know, how this thing played out in Dallas, knowing what we know, the Giants situation, the Buffalo situation, what do you think my best options are? But at the end of the day, it comes down to Odell. Yeah, you can get advice from mom, dad, brother, sister, girlfriend, whomever else. At the end of the day, you're going to have to be the one that's going to have to go to these meetings, eventually have to practice and go play. So what is the best situation for Odell? I don't have any answers for that, Skip, but this is a bad look for the Cowboys, and I'll be looking at trying to get me some representatives that says, okay, what do you think? Because this got out somehow. I don't know, Skip, I don't know. You know somebody going to leak bad information about themselves? Nah, me either.
Okay. You done?
I'm done.
Thank you. Here I go. I do not have any huge issue with the quote-unquote leaking this information to Ed Werder. And by the way, let's not discount how good a reporter Ed is, because he is really top-notch at reporting. Okay?
But unless he's in there with the guy that's tugging and jerking and twisting my knee, Ed Werder is not that good a reporter. Every story that's ever been leaked, be it Watergate, be it Iran-Contra, it came from the inside. It always has, it always will, because Ed Werder was not in that medical room.
Okay.
Carry on.
But maybe he has a source within the Cowboy medical team that is somehow sympathetic to Ed and gave him some information, not for any advantage Dallas, just because Ed had a relationship with said medical person, right? That's called reporting.
That's called Cowboy leaking. Well, if he's on the Cowboys,
but you can't know that for a fact. You can't know it for a fact. You could be right. You probably are right, but you don't know it for sure. What is the issue on the table right now? It's a knee that has been reconstructed not once, but two times. It's the same knee, and he tore it. God bless him in the Super Bowl, because it was an incredibly bad literal break of a tendon that just went for no reason while he's just running across the football field. There's no contact, right?
Correct.
It was terrible, and he was off to the races in the Super Bowl. He had 2 catches for whatever it was. He caught the opening touchdown pass. All right. So you're right. Jerry has pushed back against this from the start, because Jerry's calling card is I draft winners.
Right.
They have drafted as well as anybody this side of Kansas City over the last decade in the NFL.
You're correct.
And I grudgingly give Jerry Jones some credit for that, because do I think he knows anything about football? Not really, but I think he has people around him who really know a lot about football.
He's hired the right people. Will McClay.
Thank you. Starting with Will McClay, who's always sitting up behind Jerry in his box, taking notes, and I'm thinking, there's my guy. There's my brain trust right there.
And if they don't put his name up on the screen, not one person would know who he was.
Okay, I got it. But Jerry does have final say,
Absolutely.
especially on the first couple of rounds of the draft.
Yes.
And so Jerry's claim to fame in Dallas when he goes out to dinner in Big D is, I picked these players. They're mine.
Right.
We're homegrown,
Right.
because he loves the idea of America's team is homegrown,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, so it cuts against Jerry's fabric of how he built the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
I am the owner and the operator. I'm the general manager. It cuts against the grain of Jerry to say, I'm going to go out. He did it one time back in 95 when he went and got the guy, Deion Sanders, and it changed life between San Francisco and Dallas. So Deion was the reason San Francisco won and the reason Dallas won the next Super Bowl.
But the difference between a draftee and a free agent is that guy was already established. He says, I developed Zeke. I developed Dak. I developed CD and all these young guys.
All right. So what did I tell you from the start? Yeah, you kept throwing back at me. Well, you're not the biggest Odell fan. I've never been, because he's always been more trouble than he's worth until he got to the Rams. And then you talked about it yesterday. He grew up right before your very eyes, and he was a model citizen with the Rams, and he started very slowly, averaged 3 catches and 34 yards a game for 8 games down the stretch of the regular season, and then all of a sudden at Tampa, in the game, he took off. He went off for 9 catches at 113 yards. That looked like New York Giants Odell, not Cleveland Odell, who stayed hurt pretty much the whole time.
Yes.
He had 3 surgeries while he was in Cleveland on various parts of his body. And started looking like a shell of his former Giant self. And then last year with the Rams, boom, and he becomes a catalyst to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay, so I said, I want the catalyst, because I think my team's on the verge of maybe breaking through. Maybe this is the year.
Right.
And we talked yesterday about the Football Power Index is now ranking Dallas, giving it the best shot to not only get to the Super Bowl, but to win the Super Bowl. So we're on the verge. And I'm thinking, well, I want the good luck charm that the Rams had last year. Who was that guy?
Right.
He was the talisman for the Rams. He was the guy in the locker room where you say, we got Odell and you don't, because Odell once upon a time was a dominating receiver. And I think he's turned 30 now, but he still has a lot left in his tank.
Right.
If in fact the knee comes back.
Right.
Okay, so I said, I want him just for his presence. He is a superstar. On social media, there's nobody bigger in the league, including Tom Brady, who's tried to get into the game on social media and can't compete with that guy.
Right.
Now, again, he's not in LeBron's league or the NBA kind of league, but in the NFL, he's number one.
But, Skip, I think the thing is, while you said you wanted Odell as a catalyst, I don't think Jerry ever viewed him as that.
No.
Jerry's looking at it in terms of, Skip, in very simple terms, black or white. Can you help me or can you not?
Yep,
I'm not about to pay you to rehab on my dime if you can't get out on the field and help me contribute to winning.
I agree. Okay, so here we went, and I thought, let's do this. Let's send a message to the locker room, and as you know, it can be a powerful message if the owner sends the message of, I'm sending you Odell. We are dead serious about we're going to do it right here, right now, this year, right?
Right.
And I love the message that would send. And then all of a sudden, I'm astounded because, to your point, all of a sudden, Micah's on the bandwagon. He's driving the bandwagon. All of a sudden, and it's Diggs, and then it's Dak, and then it's Zeke. And everybody is campaigning, if not recruiting, that guy. Campaigning for. Yeah, all of them. And Jerry got stuck in the path of a runaway train that he did not want to board.
Right.
He's standing on the tracks and it's coming right at him.
Right.
And he's like, damn, okay, maybe I should go along with this. And he started saying some positive things about it, but then he starts looking harder and harder. And the next thing that disturbed me, and I first guessed this, was that this meeting that just took place should have happened 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
It was out there that I'm available. And I kept hearing that by November 1st, all year I heard, by November 1st, Odell will be ready to rock.
Right.
Well, now we're up to, what are we, December 7th?
7th.
Okay, we're December 7th, and I think that it became clear to the Cowboy medical team that he is not going to be ready until probably next year.
Right.
Probably, like mid-January. Who cares about mid-January? Okay, so he's ready to practice in mid-January. That's going to help you how this year?
Right. It
Okay,
doesn't.
so I tweeted about this yesterday because I kept saying there's no urgency here on Odell's part to become a Dallas Cowboy. Well, what do I care about? I only care about now.
Right.
I don't even care about next year or the next year.
Right.
Odell got his ring last year, and I think it became painfully clear to Jerry over this visiting time that he did the last 48 hours that Odell is far more concerned about 23 and 24 than he is about 22 and then
Right.
going into early
Right.
23,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because what does Odell care about Dallas winning the Super Bowl right here, right now? He won one.
Right.
He got his ring. He is a made man. And we talked about it yesterday, and you asked me, what's his priority? Well, it's security. It's long term.
Okay.
He wants his $20 million in 2023 and $20 million or maybe a little more in 2024.
Okay.
And I don't know how much longer he wants to play, 2-3 years. I don't know, maybe more. But the point is that my concern is not his concern. Jerry's concern is not his concern because he's slow playing this out to where finally you say, oh, so you want a long-term great deal from me, says Jerry Jones, but you don't want to help me win a Super Bowl and break through when I have my
Right now.
best shot right now
Right.
because, as you well know, in this league,
Right.
next year, it could be a Rams-like disaster. It could,
You never
who
know.
knows?
There's a reason why there hadn't been a whole lot of repeat champions.
But
Skip,
yeah.
remember I told you, it's like, well, why isn't he on the team? Why didn't I say, Skip, there's no team going to pay a guy just to rehab if you can't help me win. You're chewing up a roster spot, and you're not going to help me win right now. I'm not paying somebody that's not going to help me win.
Okay, so I'm getting more and more lost on this. It's becoming, it's like turning into Odell from hell for me.
Right.
Because I wanted him so badly, and I wanted this to work. But if it was going to work, on Monday, it needed to just detonate.
Right.
It needed to, by Monday evening at 5 o'clock, they needed to have a deal.
But I tell you what, Skip, you wanted him bad, and maybe the players wanted him bad, and maybe Cowboy Nation or country or whatever they call themselves. But I don't believe Jerry ever wanted him as bad as you and the other Cowboy faithful wanted him.
Well, you could be right because, as you keep pointing out, a whole lot of homegrowns are about to come due contractually,
Yes.
and it's going to threaten the salary cap. And it already got threatened by the contract that he overpaid for Dak Prescott.
Yes, because you do realize, okay, Skip, Dak is in the second year of a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
Okay, Diggs is up after this season.
Diggs is up.
Okay, Michael comes up after next season.
right.
Dak is up again.
Right. And CD.
Yes, I forgot. Excuse me.
CD.
CD is going to be up. So you got
with Diggs.
Right.
Yeah.
You got CD and Diggs after this year, after the third year.
Now,
Next-
you can pay them now if you want to after this year.
After
right.
next season, Micah is up and that contract is up again.
Right. So Jerry and Steven are sitting back saying, well, wait a second. The medicals tell us that it's not great yet.
Right.
It might turn out to be okay down the road, but it's not going to be good enough for him to contribute this year.
Yes, but Skip, how about this here, Skip? Right now, we're in a holding pattern. We're just going to wait and see. We had a great visit with Odell Beckham, but right now for us, we're just going to play it by ear.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes a couple of weeks down the road. You didn't have to say anything, and then leave it up. They're like, well, damn, you're going to come out. I know you're going to say, what they had him in their building. Why did they let him get out the building?
That is
Something
correct.
has to be going on for the Cowboys not to sign him, or someone have not signed him yet. Now, obviously, he wanted to take all his visits. He wanted to go to the Giants. He wanted to go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And he had promised Jerry Jones that he was going to swing through Dallas on December 5th. He did that. But if he gets out of there and is not signing, and Jerry says, you know what, hey, we're just in a holding pattern right now, you're going to be like, well, what's going on? Is the knee not where it needs to be? Is there something else going on?
Okay. All right. So here are 3 Jerry quotes from yesterday.
Okay.
We just heard the first one from Jen. I'm not confident at all, he said, in Odell's health at this moment. I'm not confident at all?
Right.
Well, that's pretty much disqualifying, right?
Yes.
He also said it is paramount, said Jerry Jones, that Odell contribute this year.
Right.
Paramount.
Right.
Next quote. It has to improve us right now as well as next year.
Yes.
Right now.
Right.
Okay, so Jerry's just laying it right there on the table for all to look at. I need him now,
Right.
and he's not ready now because I have no confidence in him being ready now. So he's basically sending a message to the locker room, I'm sorry, I tried, but it's not going to work, right?
No, Jerry said, I'm not about to put this item on. Everybody's had things. I know I've had things on layaway. They don't let you get it,
No.
and then you pay as you go along.
No.
Once you pay it off, you go get it.
Yeah.
Jerry said, I'm not putting this player on layaway.
No.
I need somebody that can do something for me in 2022, the end of 2022 and 23.
Okay.
If he can only help us in 23, 24, guess what I'm going to do, Skip? I'm going to pay him in 23, 24.
Okay. And I believe that Jerry would be much prouder, much more self-satisfied if they could go win, let's just say the NFC. Don't even talk about, if they could just get to a Super Bowl
Right.
without Odell
Right.
Beckham Jr.
Right.
Because that's Jerry's calling card is I built this myself. I didn't have to reach desperately for an Odell at the last second to get us over the top.
Definitely. You don't feel like you'd have to overpay. But the question is, let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, Odell doesn't play this year and he gets an opportunity. So now free agency starts in March. So now you have basically a full year to rehab. And by the time you get on the field, you'll be 15, 16 months. You're further down the road.
Yeah.
I think he would be better served and possibly can get the money that he's seeking if he does it that way.
Okay, you're probably right. Okay, well, then that doesn't help us at all right now remotely.
And would the Cowboys still be as interested knowing that he's fully recovered from the ACL and is going to want that $20 million when you got CD going to want his bread and you just gave Michael Gallup his bag?
I'm going to guess no, big no on that. And I'm going to throw one last little X factor at you. James Washington is on this roster, and they didn't pay him much money, but they paid him some. They paid him $1.2 million for 1 year. He was a second-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're going to talk about their new young diva wide receiver in a few minutes here, George Pickens. But the Steelers pick wide receivers better than anybody, and it's a pipeline. But they wind up going elsewhere. It's one after another, starting with Antonio Brown.
Right.
James Washington never quite clicked with Big Ben Roethlisberger for whatever reason. I'm going to remind you, I loved him at Oklahoma State because he won the Biletnikoff Award and was first-team All-American in 2017. And again, went in the second round because he's not a speed demon. He ran 4.55 at the Combine, which is not speed demonry. But every time I turned on the TV watching Oklahoma State, when he was there, he was behind somebody. It's just what he does. I don't know how he does it, but he does that. He hurt his foot in training camp, and 1 month ago, he returned to practice, and they kept saying, next week, next week, next week. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's just not practicing well. I don't know. But my point is, Jerry's pride's on the line. He signed James Washington, and he probably thinks in his heart of hearts he can be just as effective as Odell could be right here, right now.
What's your instinct tell you? You know, Jerry. You think this deal gets done?
Nope. I do not, because I thought that from the start. I thought we were bucking against Jerry to want Odell, and I think he got caught up in the runaway Odell hysteria, and he tried to placate the locker room by saying, okay, I'm going to try. We're going to bring him in. I'm going to try. And then if you want to go so far as to say the leaking of this medical information was Jerry expressing to the players why he can't do this. I need them to know through Ed Werder that this is not now. Like he's not going to help us immediately. Now, I don't know what Odell was telling Micah and Trevon Diggs when they went to the Maverick game. I don't know if he's telling them, hey, guys, I'm just not going to be ready right now, but maybe next year I can help, right?
That next year don't do me no good.
Okay, all right, there you go.
You need somebody to help you right now. You're in the middle of it right now, Skip.
So Mike Florio, he went through the speculation here. He said at one point it appeared the Cowboys possibly were going through the motions with Odell in order to get the Giants to overpay or to have to pay more. Okay, so that was the first possibility. Now he says it looks as if the Cowboys are trying to get Beckham to take less. So are they just negotiating with Odell? Maybe to a certain point, but I think it's gone way beyond negotiating. I think it's gone to deal breaking.
Skip, here's the thing. If I go in and if I want to buy something, I got a price that I'll go to, and there's a price that if I'm selling something, there's a price that I'm not going to go under. Odell has the service. Is there a price that he's not willing to go under? Because clearly the Cowboys are trying to get under the number that Odell is seeking. I'm trying to offer a service. What is the number, Skip, I'm not willing to go under? I'll go over, but I'm not going under. Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? how much is Odell willing to shave off his original asking price, knowing that the need is not where it needs to be right now, and he possibly can't help them until 2023.
Okay. Now we're back to the age-old, infamous Jerry quote. You would not believe the size of the check I would write to win another Super Bowl. The problem is that whole statement is disqualified. You have a salary cap, and you have to pay Micah Parsons at some point, right?
Yeah. So you might have to write a big check.
Right, but there's a limit to the check that you can write. We always say, if this were baseball, Jerry might have 12 championships. I don't know.
Yeah, next year it's going to be really interesting because you're going to have to pay Micah, and that contract, and you cannot franchise him, is completely up. And you know where the quarterback contracts are going, Skip. And I understand the cap is going up. But Michael Parsons is going to get $200 million. He's going to he's about to get the biggest contract of a defensive player in the history of the game.
I got it. Last quick point on Odell. He recently sued Nike for breach of contract. So to your point, if he is angry enough to actually sue Jerry Jones, you want to talk about burning a bridge? That one will be burned forever, right?
Yeah, that's okay. As long as I got a big old pile of money on the other side, I ain't going to need to come back over there.
Okay.
An absolute inferno. That's what that would be, guys. One more interesting point from Mike Florio. He floated out the idea OBJ possibly to the Eagles. That would be interesting, Skip.
Look at him now. Now you don't want that, do you?
What? Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.